For nearly 2 centuries, the deep, steady rumble of John Deere engines was more than just background noise in rural America. It was the mechanical heartbeat of small towns and farming communities, pulsing in rhythm with the planting and harvest seasons. That iconic sound, echoing across fields and factory floors alike, symbolized a social contract between a company and its people, where steady employment, fair wages, and mutual loyalty formed the backbone of generational prosperity. It was more than machinery. It was tradition, stability, and pride. But that foundational agreement, once etched into the soul of American industry, now lies in tatters. The same corporation that once championed domestic craftsmanship and community support has become a case study in the betrayal of American workers, systematically dismantling its U.S. manufacturing base in favor of cheaper foreign labor, even as corporate profits soar to historic highs. What's unraveling is not merely a business model. It's the integrity of a legacy, the moral compass of a brand that once represented the best of American enterprise. As John Deere transforms into a faceless multinational more interested in stock buybacks and shareholder dividends than in the communities that built it, rural America is left to reckon with a betrayal that transcends typical offshoring narratives. This is the gutting of an American institution, a profound violation of trust by a company that used to stand for quality craftsmanship and shared prosperity. The tragedy is compounded by the timing. John Deere's pivot toward foreign manufacturing didn't arise from necessity during a financial downturn. It occurred amid record-breaking profits, with the company posting $10.2 billion in earnings in 2023. At the precise moment when American manufacturing was showing signs of resurgence and bipartisan political momentum rallied behind restoring good factory jobs, John Deere chose instead to shutter domestic plants and relocate operations to Mexico. This was not a reluctant sacrifice to stay afloat, but a cold calculation rooted in greed. Executives determined that they could replace skilled American workers earning family-sustaining wages with Mexican laborers paid just $3.50 an hour. It wasn't about keeping the company alive, it was about juicing margins. This economic vampirism, where livelihoods are traded for temporary boosts in stock value, laid bare the hollowness of modern corporate rhetoric about innovation and progress. CEO John May's compensation ballooned to $26.7 million, a figure symbolic of the vast disconnect between executive privilege and working-class reality. The math of the betrayal is brutally simple. Fire hundreds of American workers, move operations south of the border, continue to charge premium prices for the same equipment, and enjoy the applause of Wall Street. Once a proud symbol of American ingenuity, John Deere's trajectory now resembles a tragic arc of industrial decline, a company losing its identity as it sheds the values that once made it great. Founded in 1837 by a frontier blacksmith seeking to solve real problems for real people, John Deere grew into an emblem of quality and reliability through its commitment to craftsmanship and community. A job at a Deere plant wasn't just employment. It was a passport to the American dream, enabling families to buy homes, send kids to college, and retire with dignity. The green and yellow badge of the leaping deer came to stand not just for the strength of the machines, but for the character of the people who built them. That symbol has now become a hollow logo, branding equipment that increasingly comes from factories overseas, assembled by workers far removed from the communities the brand once served. What began as small compromises in the 1990s, outsourcing parts here, consolidating plants there, has metastasized into a full-scale abandonment of domestic production. What was once a company grounded in practical problem-solving for American farmers now answers primarily to shareholders, hedge funds, and quarterly earnings reports. The human toll of this transformation is not measured merely in pink slips and unemployment lines, but in the collapse of entire community ecosystems across the Midwest. Once thriving company towns are hollowing out. Their main streets are littered with shuttered businesses, and for sale signs hang like mourning banners on abandoned storefronts. Local schools are underfunded, their tax base is eroded by factory closures. Community colleges, once proudly partnered with John Deere to train future generations of machinists, welders, and technicians, struggle to justify keeping vocational programs alive. The ripple effects extend into every aspect of daily life, from canceled Little League sponsorships to the loss of annual factory picnics that once brought neighborhoods together. Most heartbreaking is the intergenerational damage being inflicted. Children who grew up watching parents and grandparents earn honest livings at John Deere facilities now face a bleak landscape of diminishing opportunity. The proud legacy of passing down trade knowledge from one generation to the next has been broken, replaced by a grim choice between low-paying service sector jobs, crippling student debt, or leaving home altogether. This isn't just economic disruption, it's the fraying of the social fabric that once defined the American heartland. And yet, in the face of betrayal, resistance is rising. Farmers who once swore allegiance to the brand are rebelling, choosing competitors who still value domestic production. A grassroots movement galvanized by outrage has begun to take shape. The hashtag Deere Betrayal circulates on social media as farmers post videos repainting their tractors in protest, the once iconic green and yellow turned over to blues and reds of rival companies. It's a symbolic rejection of corporate disloyalty, a reclaiming of dignity from the wreckage of broken promises. State and federal lawmakers are responding. Some Midwestern governors are reviewing the tax incentives once granted to John Deere, examining whether the company violated development agreements that required local job creation. In Washington, bipartisan legislation is being drafted that would penalize companies for offshoring jobs while continuing to benefit from agricultural subsidies and federal contracts. Even financial analysts, typically concerned with margins and growth forecasts, have begun to warn that John Deere may have severely underestimated the reputational damage and long-term customer attrition that could result from its ruthless strategy. The deeper question haunting rural America is, why now? Why, during a time of economic strength, would a company with such a rich legacy choose this moment to gut its domestic roots? The answer is as disturbing as it is straightforward because it could. Because in the current climate of deregulated capitalism, there are no meaningful consequences for betraying workers. The only real rewards are those offered to shareholders and executives. While John may receive bonuses large enough to cover the annual salaries of hundreds of displaced workers, while investment giants like BlackRock and Vanguard pocket dividends from soaring stock prices, the communities that built John Deere are left with empty lots, declining home values, and a bitter sense of betrayal. These aren't collateral damages, they are the unintended consequences of a system that values quarterly earnings above all else. The company's aggressive pursuit of automation adds another layer of cruelty. John Deere now touts its autonomous tractors and AI-driven harvesting equipment as the future of farming. It markets these technologies as revolutionary innovations, proof of its commitment to progress. But that progress has come at the expense of the very workers who made innovation possible. Skilled machinists, fabricators, and assembly line veterans, people who spent decades honing their craft, are being told that their labor is obsolete. The claim is that automation is a solution to worker shortages, but this argument rings hollow when those same shortages are created by deliberate layoffs. There's nothing inherently wrong with technological advancement. What's wrong is how it's being weaponized to justify the erasure of human labor, stripping dignity from work and identity from communities. In its rush to replace human skill with machine precision, John Deere is risking more than lost jobs. It's endangering the soul of the American farmer's partnership with the people and the tools that once defined their livelihood. Behind the sleek marketing campaigns and high-tech product launches lies a more sinister truth. Automation is not being pursued for the benefit of farmers or employees, but for the consolidation of control and the maximization of profits. The company's vision for the future of agriculture is one where human input is minimized at every level, from factory floor to fieldwork. But what's being lost in this transition are the intangible, irreplaceable qualities of human judgment, creativity, and care. Machines can plant seeds, but they can't build trust. Algorithms can guide combines, but they can't pass down values or nurture communities. The institutional knowledge built over decades, the craftsmanship honed by skilled hands, and the personal investment in each bolt and weld, none of it can be replicated by automation. John Deere is gambling on a future where machines do the work, but they may discover too late that they've automated away the very loyalty and reputation that took them nearly 2 centuries to build.